Hello, Velocity Banking followers. I hope you're all doing well today, and I got an amazing video for you guys. Today, we are going to talk about one of the core principles of Velocity Banking and one of the most important concepts that we have to be able to understand, and that is cash flow. And of course, like I said in my previous video, cash flow is king. So what is cash flow exactly? And simply put, it is when you take the income that you make in a month and you minus it by the expenses that you make in a month, and what's left over is what I like to call cash flow. Some people call it disposable income, but whatever you decide to call it, just realize that you cannot do velocity banking without cash flow. That's why it is one of the core principles of what we teach here. And a lot of people are concerned with net worth and they think that it's a valuable number, but when you think about how you build net worth, it comes from cash flow. So cash flow is the foundation in order to increase net worth. So let's talk about how you can increase cash flow, since it is very important to what we do here. And once you get this number, you're going to realize either you have negative cash flow or maybe your cash flow is low, and that's when doing these four things would help you in your journey when it comes to velocity banking. So the first thing we have to do is increase income. I have a video on how to 10x your income, so please watch that. I'm not going to dive into ways you can increase your income. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you have a career, you need to be able to ask for a raise or a promotion, or you need to venture off to becoming an entrepreneur so you can get paid for your value instead of your time. The next thing we need to look at is how to decrease expenses. Now this one I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like in order for us to be motivated to increase income, we need to be able to spend money on things we enjoy and we value. That's why I prefer optimizing our expenses. And I'm going to do a video on how to live in a major city on low income, which I think will be a very eye-opening video to show you guys that you can still reduce your expenses but still have a life of enjoyable things where you don't have to reduce how much money you make. Because I noticed that a lot of people in the fire community are concerned with minimizing expenses. They want to live minimalistically, but I like to spend money on certain things. I like spending money on suits. I like luxurious watches and things of that nature. So I don't want to deprive myself while I'm on my journey. So I'd rather focus on increasing my income and then optimizing my expenses. And then the next thing we need to look at is keeping more of what you make. And I talked about this a little bit in my previous videos. That's when you adjust your W-4 form if you're an employee. Now, if you're self-employed, this is where things can get really interesting, because then you can write off taxes. So if you're self-employed, let's say you're a YouTuber and you're making videos, if you travel, you can write that off as an expense, which would be deducted against your taxes. So you actually keep more of what you make instead of giving it to the government, if that makes sense. So you have to understand where you're at. Are you an employee or do you run your own business? And you can optimize your taxes that way so you can keep more of what you make. And the last thing that we have to do is plug leaks. And I like to think of this as the 3 I's. We're talking about interest. Let's say you have a loan and your loan accumulates interest, so you have a credit card and that accumulates interest. With velocity banking, we're looking at targeting things that have high interest payments and paying that off very quickly. So that's one thing that we can reduce. Investment fees. Let's say you have fees from your bank or fees from an investment account. You want to switch those to fee-free, and there is a ton of free banks out there. Capital One, I know, is a fee-free bank, but a lot of banks are transitioning to not using fees. So if you are paying a fee, you want to reduce those as much as possible. And then the last thing we're going to look at is insurance. So a lot of us overpay for insurance. Honestly, every single year you need to do an insurance audit, If they plan on increasing your insurance, I would just go to a different company. A lot of companies will offer a lower rate just to make you come on for 1 year, and then they'll increase it after that, but then you just keep the cycle unless they keep your rates the same. So you can look into doing that. You can also look into paying it up front in full. And if you pay up front in full, a lot of insurance companies will reduce the cost even more. So that way we're also plugging the leaks and we're not paying more than we actually need to, and it kind of falls in line with keeping more of what you make. So these are the 4 ways to increase your cash flow. If you're negative cash flow, this video will be very beneficial. If you have low cash flow and you want to increase it to reach your goals faster in terms of investing or paying off debt, this video will also be very helpful. But the main thing that we're focusing on in this channel is increasing our income. Once we 10x this, everything else pretty much solves itself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have more videos like this in the future, how you can improve your cash flow and optimize expenses, and I will talk to you guys soon.